Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Conyers and members, thank you for giving us the opportunity to discuss this important issue in H.R. 3179, the Marketplace Equity Act. Now, I'm very proud to have partnered with Congressman Womack on this truly bipartisan effort. If a Republican from Arkansas and a Democrat from California can come together on a bill that deals with tax issues, then the time has really come to finally resolve this issue. And this is an issue that only Congress can resolve. The fundamental unfairness in the marketplace and in our communities that this bill addresses has grown dramatically over the past few years. When Quill was decided by the Supreme Court in 1992, the Internet and the World Wide Web did not even exist. Sales taxes were collected on almost all retail sales. But according to the Commerce Department, online retail sales have increased 300% to $224 billion over the past 8 years, and they are expected to almost triple again over the next 8 to more than $600 billion. And this chart over here makes the case. And this is the key. It will overtake the sales at brick and mortar stores by the year 2020. This is clearly not a business model in its infancy. And there should be no doubt that this is not a new tax. Consumers owe sales and use tax for these purchases in all states with a sales tax, but only about 1% actually pay them. This is an issue of collection and fairness. Some retailers have to collect the tax from the consumer, and some don't for the very same product. That's just not fair. Now, a poll commissioned by Amazon that just was released makes the case that 72% of respondents believe it's the seller's responsibility, not the purchasers, to collect that tax. State and local governments impose sales tax to help pay for essential public services such as police, firefighters, and teachers. As online sales grow, the financial hit to our communities gets more severe. Each sales tax dollar not collected is a service not provided and a possible job lost. These are cuts to police, to fire, to schools. I've seen it happen in my district, and I'm sure it's happening in all of your districts as well. Compounding the problem to our communities, the brick and mortar stores that can't compete with tax-free online sales are closing. $7 out of every $10 spent at a local retailer stays local. Here's the chart over there that makes that case. More than $4 out of every $10 spent at a national retailer stays local. But none, zero, of the money spent at an online retailer stays in the community. That means that with a local retailer or a national retailer, they're paying their employees, they're paying rent, they're paying local taxes, but the online retailer is paying none of that. We've all seen it. Large online-only retailers have been able to use the small retailers as their virtual showrooms. In a state like California, that hit has been huge, particularly at a time when financially strapped consumers are looking for ways to stretch their dollars as far as possible. Technology has now made it possible for consumers to shop for goods in brick and mortar stores, get advice, kick the tires on products like TVs, computers, cameras, and bicycles, and then find and buy the item online, sometimes right on their mobile phone while standing in the store. Eric McChrystal, who runs a small power tools company in my district in San Carlos, told me it happens regularly. People come in and test his power tools and then go online to buy because they can escape the sales tax, even though it is still owed. This simply isn't fair to the merchants like Eric, who have invested in a storefront and hired employees to provide a service. And ultimately, it isn't fair to the taxpayer, who has the legal obligation to pay, but isn't able to easily fulfill it or doesn't even know that they owe the tax and could be subject to audit and penalties for failure to pay. As Ranking Member Conyers said, this is also about jobs. Brick and mortar retailers create 4 jobs for every 1 job created by an online retailer. And they participate in our communities. They sponsor the Little League teams. They join the local Chamber of Commerce. They join the Rotary Clubs and the Lion Clubs. They are engaged in our communities. So why should we be creating an environment that places them at such a disadvantage? Why are we picking winners and losers in this particular setting? The same way technology has made it easy for online shopping, technology has made it much simpler for online retailers to collect sales tax. And since Congress must grant this authority to the state, our bills provide a simple framework for states to opt in. It also requires states to provide, cost-free, the software and services to figure out the sales tax required to comply to online retailers. This is certainly more than brick-and-mortar retailers get. Once upon a time, there was a valid argument that the Internet marketplace was in its infancy, and we didn't want to stifle its development. Those days are gone. Companies like Amazon and Overstock.com are proof of it. California is expected to lose more than $1.8 billion in uncollected tax revenues this year alone. Now, this chart up here has every state represented by you as members of this committee, and you have a handout that will provide you with this data that shows an incredible loss of state revenue, state taxes, sales tax, that should have been paid, that was not paid, and the number is growing exponentially. The failure of Congress to address this issue has led to more, not less, confusion in the marketplace. Instead of a national approach, desperate states are taking their own actions in response to this problem. There are the streamlining states, the Amazon deals, and the states that have expanded the reach of Nexus. At least 30 states have taken some action to try and collect the sales tax owed from online sales. Rather than hide its head in the sand, Congress could solve this issue for all states by allowing states to require online sellers to collect tax even if they do not meet a physical presence test. It could set the conditions that states must satisfy if they wish to do so, ensuring that it is simple and not unduly burdensome, while at the same time respecting states' rights. That's what the Quill decision urged Congress to do 20 years ago. That is precisely what the Marketplace Equity Act does. It's not perfect, but it's headed in the right direction, and I urge you to recognize this opportunity as one that a bipartisan Congress can fix. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you both for your testimony.